So what actually is octane? I noticed you see pumps from the US and they seem to have 92, 88, 100 octane. In the UK, we start off at 95 octane and it goes up to 102, 105, depending on where you are. So does that mean the fuel is different in different locations? What actually is the octane number telling us, and how does it vary from region to region? So in this video, we're going to give the answers to all of those logical questions, and you'll come away with a good grasp of octane, what it is, how it affects your engine, and how to choose a suitable octane for your car. So firstly, octane does not tell you how powerful the fuel is. It has nothing to do with the power or the calorific content of the fuel. So octane is just telling you how resistant the fuel is to knock. Now, knock happens when you have incomplete combustion before the spark has ignited the fuel mix, and it causes a big shock or vibration within the engine as that ripple works right through the engine, and it can have catastrophic effects. So most modern cars have a knock sensor which is listening out for that telltale noise indicating that knock is occurring, and if that happens, it backs off a little bit on the fueling, the timing, the air supply, depending on the engine and what the ECU is actually doing. It will do its very best to trim everything down and avoid knock on the next cycle. So a higher octane fuel resists knock. It allows you to run higher compression. If you have a boosted car with a turbocharger or a supercharger, you're running at fairly high compression levels over and above the compression that a conventional engine would offer. So knock can be a significant problem, and it's understandable that a lot of manufacturers actually specify that you use a higher octane rating in your fuel. So if your car has been set up and designed with higher octane fuel in mind, you should really stick to it. You will generally find you get better fuel economy from higher octane fuel, and certainly much more power than you would do if you get from the lower octane fuels. In some instances, lower octane fuels can cause a significant reduction in the performance of your engine, where it has to back off and protect itself from knock. So the octane is certainly significant. It's a false economy to go for low octane fuel thinking it's better value, when actually in most cases, in most modern engines, let me know in the comments what your experience has been, but you will generally find you get better fuel economy and more power for each drop of fuel when you can use high octane fuel and it's resisting knock in your engine. There's another video that we've done just explaining the mechanics of that and why high octane fuel in most cases offers better economy. So gasoline or petrol, depending on where you are in the world, this fuel has over 300 different components and elements that make it up. Most of them are petrochemicals, but there's a lot of additional additives that go into the fuel. So there is a big difference in regions as to how they define and how they come at the figure. So just with temperature, you've got Celsius and Fahrenheit, two completely different scales of the same thing. And in a certain extent, octane is like that in different regions. A different base is used to calculate the number. Now, they're all generally within the ballpark. So RON stands for the Research Octane Number. Fuels used to be tested compared to a mixture of a component that is very prone to knock and one that is good at resisting knock. So a 98 RON fuel would match 98% iso-octane and 2% heptane. So the way they test octane has certainly moved on, and we're getting figures over and above the 100, which would have been a limitation of that early way of ranking the different octanes of fuel. So it's a much more computerized setup, much more precise measurements are taken, but the basic principle remains unchanged. So regional variations then. Here in the UK, we've got RON, the Research Octane Number. This is used extensively throughout Europe, South Africa, and even Australia. Then we've got MON, the Motor Octane Number. So this is skewed towards motorsport applications. It tends to be measured at much higher RPM figures. It's generally 8 to 10 units lower than the RON number that you would have worked from. Then you've got RDON, the Road Octane Number. This is an average of RON and MON. It's used in the USA and Canada, and it's generally 4 to 5 units lower than RON. You've also got the AKI, the anti-knock index. Again, that's generally 4 to 5 units lower than RON, and again it's used in the US and Canada extensively. You've also got the PON, the PON, which is the pump octane number. Again, this is a USA Canada measurement, and it again is generally 4 to 5 units lower than RON. You also got the R plus M divided by 2, which is an average of RON and MON, and you might see that as well throughout USA and Canada, and it's generally again 4 to 5 units lower than RON. And more misleading labels is octane, octane rating and octane number. Now they can really refer to any of the above, so it depends on what country you're in. So is there an advantage in using higher octane numbered fuels? Well, if your engine is not having any problems at all with knock at a set level of octane, there's no advantage to going beyond that. You're not going to get any benefit at all because it's resisting knock and you're not getting any knock. So there is no benefit whatsoever. But if that engine was designed to use higher octane fuels, it will be experiencing knock under many different conditions of load. So it will be backing off on the power. So in those cases, you want to release that power that you're losing because the engine is protecting itself from the poor quality of the fuel that you're using. So in those instances, yes, you will get more power. And in many cases, you will also get better fuel economy, but much depends on how you drive, your driving style, and the way the car has been set up. So if there was an emergency situation, you only had really low octane fuel available, you can use it in all engines, but you really should keep the RPMs down and top it off with higher octane fuel whenever you can. So you will get away with using that lower octane fuel, but your engine will really be struggling to use it. It'll be fighting with that knock sensor and continually backing itself off. So generally though, go with what the manufacturer recommends. So most cars under the fuel filler flap will have a recommendation. It's often the minimum that they recommend for your car, and you shouldn't really go below that. And in a lot of cases, I've had quite a few Audis over the years, I've always noticed better fuel economy and more power when I've used the premium higher octane fuels. So please let me know your experiences. We'd love you to stay tuned, so please subscribe if you haven't done so. Thanks for watching. Boot that like button because that really helps us to get out there, and I'll see you in the next video.